Hey guys, today we're talking about fractions and terminating and repeating decimals. Okay, so a fraction can be expressed as a decimal. Basically what we do is we take the numerator and we divide it by the denominator. A fraction bar is a division. Okay, so these two I want you to write in your notebook. Two types of decimals. A repeating decimal repeats indefinitely. That means it goes on and on forever. While a terminating decimal ends, okay? Let's look at some examples. So make sure that you have this written down in your notebook as well as the two examples of decimals. The first example uses bar notation. If they are repeating decimals, for example, 1/3 could be written as a 3 repeating on forever, or it can be written as 0 and 3/10 repeating. This bar notation tells us that it's repeating. Here we see a 1, 2 repeating, 1, 2, 1, 2. So we could write it as 0 and 12/100 repeating. Over here we see a 385 and then another 85. So if the 3 is not repeating, we don't worry about him. We put the bar notation over just the 8 and the 5. Okay, so go ahead for a second and match each repeating decimal to the correct bar notation. I want to see this in your notebook. Write these down on this column and these down in this column, and then match them up however you think. Go ahead and pause your video. I'm going to show you the answers right now. Okay, so if we look at this one, the 1 is repeating, so it would go to this one. Over here, the 6 is there, but the 1 is repeating. So we need to make sure that 6 is still there and that the 1 is the only thing repeating. Here, the 6/1 is repeating, so 61/100 repeating. Let's look at writing fractions as decimals. Okay, if we have 7/10, it looks like a fraction, 7 over 10, and the decimal would be written as 7/10. 19/100, 19 on top, hundredths on the bottom. So 0 and 1/9, so 19/100. 105,000ths. Okay, so we put 105 on top, thousandths on the bottom, and we know it goes 3 places for thousandths, so 105. So really, if you have a denominator of a 10, a 100, or 1,000, or really any power of 10, it's easy to translate it into a decimal just using mental math. You're just changing the way it looks. The way you say it is the way you write it. All right, so go ahead and try these for me. I'm going to go through the 3 examples right now. So this is 74/100. Make sure you've paused the video. 74/100 would look like this. This is not a 100, but we can make it into that. So if we change this to a 100, we can set it up as a proportion. You're multiplying by 5 here, multiply by 5 here, so 35/100, and we can then write it as a decimal. Here we need to change this 5 into 4 pieces each, which would be 20. Add the 3, so we have 23/4. And if we do this, oh, silly me, we don't need to do it like that. Just kidding. We need to just change the 3/4. I was making it into an improper fraction. We don't need to do that. 3/4 could be written as 100, and this could be 75. So 5 and 75/100. Okay, so we did not need to change this 5. It just stays there, and the 3/4 becomes our decimal. All right. Try these now. See if you can handle these on your own. Okay, I'm going to go through them. 3/10 would be written like so. 3/25 would, if we simplify it, multiply by 4, we would get 12 because 3 times 4 is 12. So 12/100. And here, 1/2 is really like 0.5. So if it's negative, we leave the negative sign. And it would be -6 and 5/10. All right, try these for me. Okay, we need to write them as a decimal. So 3/8 is not as easy. Okay, I can't make it equal to 100 because there's no easy number that gets from 8 to 10 or 8 to 100. But what about 1,000? Actually, I can multiply 8 times 125 to get to 1,000, which means I can multiply 3 times 125, which would be 375. So the answer is 375 thousandths. Here, there's no real clear easy way to get from 40 to 1 or to 10 or to 100, right? So we have to decide, okay, let's try 1,000. Does that work? If we look at that, it's 25. 40 times 25 gives me 1,000. So 1 times 25 gives me 25. So it's going to be negative because of this negative right here. So negative 25 thousandths. Why do I need that 0 there? Because if I don't have it, it would be 25 hundredths. So we need to write it the way we say it. It's thousandths. 7/9 is a little more tricky, okay? 7/9 doesn't have anything easy that I can multiply it by. So if ever you feel like you can't think of a 10 or 100 or 1,000, you can always use division. For example, the 3/8, I could have divided, not like that, 3 by 8, or excuse me, 8 by 3. And we're going to go, 8 goes into 3 no times, but it goes into 30 3 times, which is 24. Bring down my 6. 8 goes into 67 times. 7 times 8 is 56. Bring down my 4. Oops, I needed another 0 there. 8 goes into 45 times, and I'm done. Okay, same thing with the 7/9. All right, if we take 7 divided by 9, because remember the fraction bar means to divide, it goes in no times. Bring down a decimal point. 9 goes into 77 times. 7 times 9 is 63. And we get 7. Bring down a 0. We get 7. 63. Bring down, and it's going to go on and on forever. So instead of writing all these 7s with ... we can use bar notation. All right. Try these using the division method if it doesn't work out as easily. I'm going to pause the video and then I'm going to go through the answers. Okay, so 8 goes into 7 no times, but it does go into 70 8 times, and 8 times 8 is 64. 8 goes into 67 times, 56. The 4, I should have brought that down. Bring it down another 0. 8 goes into 45 times. So the answer would be a negative 875 thousandths. Over here, 11 goes into 3, clearly no times, but it does go into 30 twice, which would be 22. We're left with 8. Bring down a 0, 80. Goes in 7 times, 77, 3. Okay, so 11 goes into 30 2 times, 22, 8. Okay, what are you seeing here? It's going to repeat the 2, 7. So this would be a 0 and 27 hundredths, but they're repeating. Okay, 1/3, we know, okay, 3 goes into 1 no times, goes into 10 3 times. Bring down your 9, it goes in 3 times. Bring down your 9, it goes in 3 times. It's going to keep happening. So this would be 2 and 3 repeating. All right, let's look at one more example. Find the fraction of fish in the aquarium that are goldfish. Make sure to write them in simplest form. Okay, so now we're changing these from decimals into fractions. Okay, so I want you to try each one of these. Pause the video, go for it. I'm going to show you the answers, so make sure it paused. Okay, so the molly fish is 2/10. If I simplify that, or if I write it as a fraction, it's 2/10. And then if I simplify it, 1/5. Guppies were 25 hundredths, so rewrite it as a fraction, and simplified, it's 1/4. Angelfish were 4/10, write as a fraction, simplified, 2/5. Okay, and that's all I have for you today. See you next time.